Okay, we're on to the next startup. The location, not a surprise. Yeah, it's in the USA, San Francisco, California to be exact. So tons of startups come from here. What makes this startup interesting is honestly not its industry. It's in the software industry, which again, that's pretty common. It's actually accounting software. So also not particularly interesting. No offense to accounting people. What makes this startup kind of interesting and possibly interesting for you is that it's focused on startups, accounting services. It's accounting software for startups. So if you're in the market for accounting software and you're a startup, maybe this might be interesting to look at. I don't know, but let's go through it. Okay, so mentioned it's the industry is software, it's accounting software, and they mentioned something about automating accounting software. I don't didn't understand too much about that, but you can dive deeper into it. It's mentioned, so maybe that's a key feature of this piece and separator. In fact, that does address one question I had about this, and that is, I thought there's tons of accounting software from one store startups all the way up, like competitors like Intuit is out there. They have like Quicken, if I remember the name correctly. So that made me like wonder like why is a startup coming into the space when there's some very established players, and maybe that's they're focused on startups. That's their niche. And number two, they're apparently automating some tasks, although I would still be wary because, Intuit's a big company. It might even be owned by someone even bigger than them. So, they have plenty of capital. So it wouldn't be very hard for them to throw some money at automating some of their tasks. If they wanted to buy this company, well, then good for Campfire. Oh, if I didn't mention, that's the name of the company. Apologies. Campfire is the name. If they want to buy this company, that's a win for this startup. But if they wanted to compete, they have plenty of money to compete and do some of the things that maybe this software is offering. So from a competitor perspective, that does kind of worry me. But again, I'm not an expert in the space. I know a little something about software, but the accounting part, I don't know much about. Okay, in case you want to go and check them out, meetcampfire.com is the website. Product market fit, I don't think they have that yet. Seems early. They just raised $3.5 million. And if I'm not mistaken, that is seed funding. Yeah, it is seed funding. So too early for product market fit, I would say. What is the problem they're addressing? Obviously, that the software, accounting software that exists, may not be completely suitable for startups. So that apparently they saw a gap in the market. So here they are. Who are their customers? Well, we already know it's startups. And if you think about it, go back to like the gold rush times. The people who made the money in the gold rush, not all of them, but a lot of them, were the people who sold the tools and supplies to the miners, not the miners themselves. So I guess that's the way to look at it. This startup is selling what they think is a value-added tool to startups, and many of those startups may fail, but they'll have been a customer and paid this Campfire company, I would assume, a decent amount of money before they go. So not a bad idea in that sense. VCs, there's actually quite a few. Foundation Capital, Y Combinator, and 22 Ventures. Y Combinator is really interesting since they're basically an incubator and investor in startups. So I think they're good at basically like using their startups to create business with other startups. So that might be the small percentage of winners that come out of it. So yeah, it's very interesting to see them in there. But again, Foundation Capital, Y Combinator, and 22 Ventures. I mentioned seed round. One other concern I didn't mention previously is tying their future to startups. That would be a concern a little bit. There could be cycles, and the startup market could crash, and they would go down with it. So can they pivot from that? Definitely, but it would be definitely a challenge. Total funding, I assume there's something before this. I just didn't see anything. $3 million is not a huge amount, but it's enough to indicate they must have raised money before. Patents are going to be their moat, obviously, and market size, it's going to fluctuate depending on how the startup market is doing, since that's their focus. Other than that, I don't have any additional thoughts. I would just say interesting that they're selling to other startups, and automating some of the accounting tasks. Even accountants found some of that stuff boring, so that could be useful. But other than that, we'll have to see. I wish them luck, and we'll talk to you next time.